Hello everyone, Fisgus here. Welcome to another tutorial. In this one I will pick up where I ended my Ramstar tutorial. I will be showing how to taxi and take off and some of the procedures along the way. I do not claim that this tutorial is the most accurate to how this is done in real life, nor that the way I do it is the most accurate or efficient. This is the way I personally do it, based on my experience with BMS and other sims. Let's get into it. Before starting the taxi, contact the ground controller for your airbase. It should be on UHF channel 2 by default. Press T and then 3 for request ready for departure.
Good afternoon. Cajun 1, you are number 1 for departure. Taxi, Alpha, and then hold short, runway 36.
The controller said that I'm clear to taxi via Alpha and then hold short of runway 36. It is important to have the airfield chart handy and know your current position. This is the one for Gunsan Air Base. I know I'm in this area called Tree Area. I'm going to taxi using taxiway Alpha and then going for the EOR area just short of the runway. Prior to taxiing, enable your nose wheel steering by pressing the NWS/MSL step button on your stick. Next, look to your left and set the position lights to flash. After that, set your nose wheel landing light to taxi. Once this is done, request the EPU pin to be pulled from the aircraft by pressing T and then 1 for install remove EPU ground safety pin. After that, request that the chocks are removed by pressing T and then 2 for install remove chocks. In order to easily monitor your aircraft's ground speed, bring up the INS page on the DED. Press list and then 6. This value is the aircraft's ground speed. Do not exceed 25 knots on a straight line, and when you're doing sharp turns, reduce your ground speed to as little as 5 knots, otherwise you risk your aircraft tipping over. Then, disengage the parking brake. Now, slowly add power to the engine, monitor your ground speed, and follow the taxiway markings. Once you arrive at the EOR, re-engage the parking brake, set your nose wheel light to landing, and arm your ejection seat. Additionally, activate your radar altimeter by pushing the switch to the forwardmost position. You should now be ready for takeoff. Again, disengage your parking brake. Now slowly move the aircraft to the hold short position of the runway.
Cajun 1-1, contact tower for takeoff. Switch to 9230.
At around this point, like you just heard, the ground controller should request that you contact the tower controller on their frequency. By default, the tower frequency is channel 3 on the UHF radio. Use your ICP rocker to move the cursor to the UHF channel and then cycle the channels to channel 3. Once you're on channel 3, Press T twice to cycle to the tower commands, and then press 1 for ready for departure.
Agent 1, hold short.
If you're requesting takeoff earlier than your scheduled takeoff time, you will have to repeat this request to get the takeoff clearance.
Magic 6-1, sunrise. Agent 1, Tucson Tower, weight 050 at 6 knots, runway 36. You're cleared for takeoff.
You just received clearance for takeoff on runway 36, along with the wind speed and strength. Bring back up the INS page and slowly maneuver the aircraft onto the runway and have it pointing down the end of the runway. Once you're here, exit the INS page, cycle to steer point 2 so you know which direction you're gonna fly to after you take off, and disengage nose wheel steering. Once you're ready for takeoff, apply pressure to the wheel brakes, run up the engine to roughly 80%. If everything is good, release the wheel brakes and push the engine to mil power. After you see the airspeed tape come alive showing numbers, apply full afterburner. Use your rudder to maintain the aircraft's alignment down the runway, then when you reach your takeoff speed, pull gently back on the stick. Once you have a positive rate of climb, press G to pull the gear up.
Agent 1-1, contact departure.
The tower controller just requested that you contact the departure controller. They are on channel 4. Only do this when you feel you are comfortable about doing so. Remember the first 3 rules of aviation: aviate, navigate, communicate. When you have the gear up and the aircraft is going where you want it to, then talk to departure.
Cajun 1, Tucson, departure. Depart heading 100. Resume on navigation.
And there we have it. This is the way in which I taxi and take off. Remember to pull the gear up before reaching 300 knots or you risk damaging it. Also, if like in what I demonstrated, you have a steer point pointing to a direction that will cause you to overfly the airbase, avoid it. Go around to the steer point. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.